Well, you've had a very eventful month or so with the redistricting fight in Texas. So thank you for taking a moment to talk to the UPolitics audience about what you've been through. So why don't you start from the beginning and talk about when you first heard about the redistricting effort in Texas, how Trump had contacted your governor, and really kind of set the table about because this is about something much bigger than just, although Texas is obviously very important, it's really about the entire country because it's about who controls the House of Representatives and whether Trump will have any oversight. So I'd like for you to kind of set the table for people about what the stakes about what you've been doing.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on. So, I can think it was last year, maybe in 2024, 2023, North Carolina did a mid-decade redrawing of their lines, and that netted three extra seats in Congress, and that was the edge that the Republicans needed to stay ahead and have the majority in Congress. So Trump probably saw that and was like, "Look, my approval rating is going down. The cost of living is going up. I need to find a way to make sure that I can stay in power." And so he called Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and asked him to give him five seats that are that will be held by Republicans. And of course, Abbott obliged and quickly got to work on ways to redraw the lines, even to the detriment of a tragedy that happened in Texas with the tragic flooding. Uh, Abbott put Trump's request first and put the people of Texas second. And that's what happened when they called a special session. There's a lot of us who serve in the Texas legislature who thought we were coming down to provide relief for those Texans who were impacted by the floods in the Hill Country. But instead, they set the priority as the redrawing, the mid-decade redrawing of the congressional maps. Now, we have not done that in Texas, but because the call came in, that became the work that was to be done by the legislature in a special session. Now, let me tell you, we heard rumblings that we might have to do redistricting, but nothing was firm. And that was before the regular session ended. But it wasn't until Trump actually reached out to Governor Abbott that it actually set everything in motion.
Now, you and your colleagues made the decision to leave the state, go to Chicago, to deny a quorum so they couldn't vote in the special session on the redistricting plan. Talk about that, the decision to do that, to get up and leave your family, leave everything behind. And, it must have been kind of a strange and scary experience. Talk about what happened to you.
Yeah, and so the Democrats are in the minority in Texas. There's only 62 of us. It takes 76 legislators to pass a bill. So Democrats on their own can never pass a bill. You're always going to need support. But Republicans are going to pass their bill because they have 88. There's 150 members in the Texas legislature. They have enough members to pass a bill. But what the Democrats do have is the ability to deny quorum because it takes 100 members to start to do business in the Texas legislature. So that was the only tool that we had left in the toolbox. We saw the process being ran through quickly without meaningful public input. We saw that process play out. And when it came down to it, they were ready to vote on a map that had not been vetted basically by the people. The people had no chance to provide their input because they provided a map at the last minute. They held one hearing on that map, and they limited the hearing to 5 hours. Now we have 29 million people in Texas. Hundreds of people showed up for that hearing, but not all of them were afforded the opportunity to speak because they set that time limit. And once we realized, and we saw this play out, we realized that we had to go nuclear, the nuclear option, which was to deny quorum. That was the only way to try to delay the passage because we weren't going to stop it, but we could work to delay it. And one of the things that we wanted to do. We had set some goals as a Democratic House members, raise awareness about what's happening in Texas in terms of the mid-decade redistricting effort, the impact it would have on communities of color, and also make gerrymandering a household word. The other thing that we set our sights on doing was rallying support from other Democratic-led states to ask them to be ready to also redraw their lines. And then the third thing was we wanted to be able to kill the special session, that first special session. We did all three of those things. And we saw California pass legislation to redraw their lines. So they were doing a temporary reprieve from their independent commission, and it's going to their voters. So once we saw that happen, that was the check, the checklist. It was a check off. And then we saw the national media raise awareness about gerrymandering. That was another check. And then they ended the special session early. So that was the third. So that was, some of the things, because like you said, we have people who have children that care for other family members that may not, be well. Everybody has, all of us have jobs because we don't get paid but $600 a month to be a legislator. So,
Yeah, I read about that. That's crazy. So Texas, it's a part-time legislature, so you have other jobs and you do this as well. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's not part-time. I mean, anybody who's doing this for real, it's
Yeah.
full-time, but it is. It's supposed to be
So you have two
part-time.
full-time jobs.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it
Wow.
was a tough decision.
Yeah.
We had some members who brought their children with them or their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And it was tough, but it was something that sacrifice that we were willing to do and that we did for the greater good of of Texas and our country.
Mm. Now, when you did come back, you had this wild experience where they were, asking you to sign a slip so the Texas troopers could follow you around. But you refused. You were the only one who refused, and you were basically locked in the legislature. Talk about what happened there and your experience.
Sure. So when the quorum was restored, now I do want to make sure people realize I was not part of that restoration. Once the quorum was restored, when they had 100 members on the floor, that's when I came back.
Uh-huh.
But once that was done, the speaker made an announcement during the session that day. He said, anyone who wishes to go home basically will have to have permission, and they'll have to sign a permission slip agreeing to be released into the custody of law enforcement. See, there's a difference between having a police escort and being in the custody of law enforcement.
Uh-huh.
Because if you're in police custody, that insinuates that you've done something wrong. And we know we have not done anything wrong. What we did is legal. It's not illegal. And so why would we willingly agree to be in police custody? It was a dupe. It was a trick that unfortunately too many Democrats fell for. Now, we did wake up early that morning, catch a flight. But to me, when I heard what the conditions were in order for us to go home, and I quickly was like, that doesn't sound right. That's absurd. That's disrespectful. It just doesn't make any sense to require a permission slip. That's just undue intimidation and overexertion of power over others, and it takes away my liberty and my freedom.
Mm. And while you were on the floor, you got a call from Vice President Harris, I heard.
Yes. Oh, listen, when I was on the floor, I was really, the goal was to raise awareness about the things that Republicans will do to get what they want. I mean, this is how far they will go. They will detain another person. They will refuse, or they would, take away your freedom to move about just so they can get what they want. I wanted people to realize that this is what is happening to our democracy. In order for them to get what they want, they don't care if it impacts communities of color. They don't even care if it impacts your liberty or freedom, as long as they get what they want. So while I was there, I was, speaking with the media, my family. That was the first call I made was to my family. But Vice President Harris called, and I didn't even realize that the message had gone that far and that wide. And so many people, it touched so many people that the response, I mean, we've gotten so many emails, calls, letters, just amazing how the response was that so many people saw this as being unfair, unjust, and un-American, that there were Republicans, Democrats, and independents writing me. And it just shows that people value their freedom, and no government, not even the United States government, should have the right to take it away just because they want exactly what they want.
Mm. Now, what does it mean? And now that the maps have passed, Governor Abbott has signed them. What does it mean to your constituents? What does it mean to minority communities? So, I mean, Texas is a majority minority state, and your constituents now have less representation in Congress. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your constituents?
Yeah, I mean, under the maps that pass in Texas now, we have challenged them in court. There's a lawsuit. There's a hearing coming up in October to challenge the implementation of the maps, because that was one of the other things that you want to do. You want to give the courts the opportunity to intervene if they see fit. Because what we found is that if the election process had already started, they're less likely to get involved. So now the time to file for those new seats has not opened. So hopefully the courts will take a look and see what we see as Democrats, that there's a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act because it disenfranchises, it reduces the ability of people of color to elect a candidate of their choice. Take a case in point, my district, House District 95, a majority minority district. We had our candidate of choice, but because the lines have been redrawn, we will have our selection will be limited to someone who doesn't even live in the area. We've been put into Roger Williams' district, and there's just not a similarity in our communities because he represents currently some rural areas. But by throwing us in together, the urban and the rural, he's going to be pulled in different directions on how he should represent us. And our interests are not aligned. That's why it's important that you have the ability to elect the candidate of your choice. The need for roads may not be the same in that rural area that he represents as it is where we are. The need to draw down dollars for housing may not be the same in the areas that he currently represents versus what is needed in our district. So we stand to lose. We stand to lose the investment from federal dollars and from the ability to make impact on what legislation our congressional representative votes for as well. And so those are problems that we see. So my district is directly impacted by the changes that the state has made, and we're going to continue to fight. But that fight right now is in the courts. And even if we don't have a successful run in the court, we're going to take it to the ground and try to turn out the vote and get people to realize what's going on. Because what's fair is fair and what's not is not. And I really have confidence in the voters to see through this rigging.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, California is trying to redistrict there. There's some Missouri has just got new maps, so now there's another Republican seat there, also dividing up a minority district. Um, okay, so there are two questions here. One is, some people have said, well, the Democrats shouldn't stoop to this level. It's, we supported independent commissions in the past. What's your response to those criticisms? And then what do you hope will happen with these other Democratic states?
So in terms of the, Democrats not responding to the Republicans' dirty tactics, I mean, what are the other options? You have to meet them where they are, and they have to know that you're not going to back down. And that's what we're showing them. We're showing them that you're not going to get what you want without a fight. We're going to keep pushing back on this quest for power that you have at my expense, at our expense. And so that the way you do it is you try to find other allies in other states who have the ability to make changes. One thing I do appreciate about California, not just one, but this is one of the things, is that they're only putting a temporary pause on their independent redistricting commission. New York, they don't have the ability to do it right away, so it's a little bit tougher for them. But they're only doing it temporary because of what the circumstances are. This is our tool that we have to respond, and that's to redraw the lines. Now, if they withdraw and pull back, meaning Texas and Missouri, and if Florida stays out and other Republican states stay out, then we'll stand down in terms of trying to change the outcome of the election. But we are where we are, and this is the best opportunity that we have to counter what they're doing, and that's just to redraw the lines. And I think that it's smart, but remember that even though we got to get down and dirty, we don't have to stay dirty. We can rebuild the road, the high road, at a later time. But right now, we got to stay on that dirt road where they are, and just trying to find ways to clean it up and then rebuild.
Mm. So finally, we just love to hear a little bit about the people we interview. You've become kind of a national figure with this debate. Tell us a little bit about how you first got into politics. How did you get into the legislature?
Sure, of course, growing up, watching my family vote, that was, the start. I always ran for office in school. Uh, and so I wanted to, make sure that I was involved in that. And then locally, I was a precinct chair at my local level. I remember taking my daughter, she was 6 years old, to vote. And we got to the bottom of the ballot and it said precinct chair. Um, and she said, Mom, why don't you write your name in? And I was like, okay. And I wrote my name in, and a couple of weeks later, I got a call saying, congratulations, you won. I was like, what? I did it just to try to appease my daughter, but then I won. I was the only one. I was kind of floored by that. But from there, it took off. And I started, working the elections, and then getting, people the message about voting out. And it just kind of grew from there. And then I was asked to run from a group that recognized that women aren't always represented in politics. And so it was an organization called Annie's List that asked me to run for office. And at first I was kind of like, no, let somebody else do it. But then they were like, well, that's what everybody else is saying, so you got to be the one. And I said, sure. It was an open seat, and I decided to get involved and run. And I worked very hard and won that election. I had, three other opponents, but I worked it and made sure that I was connected with the community. And I've been representing House District 95 ever since. But it's a passion that I have in being the voice for those, because, not everybody has time to dedicate, but I want to make sure that I am there. I am representing their interests and standing up to the bullies who are trying to take away our rights every single day. And so that's what I'm here for. I want to continue to do that as we go forward.
Representative Collier, thank you so much for your time and telling us about this really important fight. I guess we'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens next. But I appreciate you talking about it and sharing your really incredible story.
Yes, and please make sure everyone knows that every election counts. Please vote in all elections, because I'm telling you, the decisions are being made whether you participate or not. So it's better that you have a say in it.